COSATU leading a national day of action with its affiliates today, and they're set to picket and march over to a number of areas, and they want socio-economic issues addressed in the country. This National Day of Action, they say, is aimed at highlighting issues including poverty, inequality, load shedding, including the high levels of crime. The memoranda by the office bearers will be delivered at various establishments, and these include private businesses, mining houses, municipal offices across the 9 provinces. Let's get an update now from our colleagues on the ground. Zinigo Mhlaba is with us here in Johannesburg, Atim Tongana in the Western Cape, and you are seeing there in Gqeberha, and that is where our colleague is as well. All right, let's begin with Zinigo Mhlaba. Zinigo, good morning to you. Paint the situation where you are. How is the turnout?
So clearly we are about to depart now, to leave the COSATU house and head to the first destination, which I believe is Brown Park, and that's the city center where most of the offices in which the marchers, COSATU members here in Gauteng will be headed to. So as you see, we are taking the very first step towards those particular offices and particular organizations. Well, if you can just step aside so that we can give you the visuals of this particular march. Well, this is the turnout so that you can see yourself. A lot of people have come out. They are ready with the flags of various affiliations of the trade union COSATU, but also with those placards of the organization. So, as we said earlier on, that they are coming from all regions here in Gauteng. Now they are ready. They've mobilized themselves pretty well, Oli. So this is where we are. Let me bring in Usisi Apples, one of the officers, quickly. From your understanding, and are you happy the turnout?
As a COSATU, we're very happy with the turnout. From here, from Fontaine, COSATU House, we'll then proceed to different offices. But Brown Park, there is a bank, memorandum, and then we'll also move along and go to offices such as the Human Rights Office, and then we'll end up at the Premier's office down in Marshalltown.
So why those particular places, the Reserve Bank, Brown Park, what's strategic about them?
Well, as you know, as workers, we are decrying a lot that government is not doing when it comes to workers' rights. And we feel those very offices are going to be able to receive our grievances and do what they're supposed to do, which is really to change that workers are really, workers need some kind of reprieve, and we feel they should be the ones who receive our memorandum.
So that's the situation here in Fontaine and Brown Park. We are leaving now the COSATU house in Johannesburg. Let's get a sense of how the situation is in the Western Cape. My colleague Atim Tongana is in Cape Town first. Let's get a sense of how things are unfolding in the coastal region.
It's most important because at the end of the day,
thank you so much, Zinigo. Yes, we have now arrived at the provincial legislature through the Cape Town leg of the COSATU strike. So I just want to bring in the SACP, because COSATU has really tried to lobby and bring about different other unions to form part of this strike. So thank you so much for your time, Mr. Ngendu. Talk to us about your involvement here.
We are involved in this march of COSATU on the basis that at the core of it is a call for all spheres of government, provincial and national, to abandon the present neoliberal austerity trajectory, which is responsible for the present state of affairs. The present trajectory has 3 coercive strategies: fiscal austerity, which is responsible for budget cuts across government departments. And that is why there is shortage of police, shortage of teachers, no infrastructure. Monetary austerity is responsible for the rise of prices in food, of rise of inflation, and thus the rising cost of living. And the last one, the third one, is what we call industrial austerity, which is responsible to ensure that the wages of the workers are stagnant, workers where they work are fragmented, no solidarity, and that this trajectory is responsible to ensure that the workers are disarmed. Therefore, if we want to change the conditions of our people to change, our governments must abandon these systems which they are using to pursue the path of our economy.
I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked COSATU, particularly the Secretary General, when I asked him the involvement of people who are part of the ANC. So as though you're marching against, a ruling party that you are affiliated with. So how does that then inspire confidence?
I couldn't get your message, but I want to assume you are saying this march attracted people beyond political affiliation. It is on the basis that the rising cost of food, of fuel, affects us all. It does not look at the color of your skin, at your political affiliation. And therefore we ought, as the workers and the poor, to close ranks to ensure that we mount a fight against any government who is bent to pursue the interests of the Western imperialists inspired by the IMF. So, poverty, unemployment are reproduced by these poor policy choices. This provincial government is pursued, including the national government, if you like.
I'd like to continue the conversation. Thank you so much for your time. The SACP out here with COSATU as they strike against many socio-economic challenges that don't only affect people who are associated with the ruling party, that being the ANC, but everyone who's really affected by the issues that plague the country. Now, let's find out what's happening in Kabeka, in the Eastern Cape with the
and other parts of the rural
A busy day, like my colleague Atim Tongana has just thrown to me from Cape Town. It is a national strike that's happening in all the provinces in the country. And currently the situation now here in Kabeka is that we're moving from Nongoza Chebe Hall right through to City Hall. That's where the letter of demand will be handed over. The memorandum rather of demands will be handed through. But now what makes this particular march a bit special today is the fact that the COSATU president herself, Mamolosi, is here in attendance of this march in the Eastern Cape province. Mamolosi, thank you very much for making time to speak to us here on Newzroom Afrika. From here on, we're moving forward with the memorandum of demands. Talk to us and take us through the demands that will be listed in that letter.
Thank you very much for having us. Part of the demands that we are raising is the issue of job creation, the issue of fighting crime and corruption, the issue of the repealing of the Municipal Systems Act by government, which says to municipal workers that they cannot hold political office in the political organizations that they are affiliated to. And part of the issues that we're raising is that workers, for employers, they must pay workers a living wage. Also, we must create jobs in South Africa. We must also deal with the issues of load shedding and water, which those issues, if we don't address them, has a direct impact to the economic stability in our country, which will then lead to high levels of unemployment, as we see, particularly that affects the young people who only live with hope, but with no necessarily tangible things that they can take home. So these are the issues that we're raising to the mayor, to the Department of Economic Development, to the Department of Labor, and also to the Commissioner of Police in us tackling crime and corruption in our country.
But the most important thing is that we have heard from the private sector speaking about the issue of load shedding and how it has affected their businesses, but we don't hear the stories of workers and how load shedding has affected them in their workplaces as well. Some have lost their jobs. Take us through those frustrations.
Indeed. These are huge frustrations because Some workers who still are in employment are facing short hours of work. Remember, what you would have accumulated as a credit, paying for school fees and managing your life and your livelihood and that of your family depends on how much you are earning. And already you are not even talking about the rate, you are talking about the hours of work which they have lost. Secondly, there are those that have lost employment completely. When small businesses who are creating jobs had to close down, and some don't even have insurance, but there are workers who had hope of being employed, who had hope when they got this employment with the hope that this business is going to grow. And come load shedding, those workers have lost employment. So those are the huge challenges that workers are faced with. The fact that the things that you had with you as assets, now you have to let go of them. It is a serious issue.
My last question, the issue of COSATU not taking action and also be here as also affiliate partner. What is your reaction to that?
Look, we will respect the decisions of COSATU. We met, we discussed us inviting them. They had requested us to postpone this activity so that they can go and consult. Of course, we are a federation that the decision was taken by the CC of the federation. We could not take that decision, and then we had to continue with our. But I would not know, because I don't have an insight of what would have been the outcomes of their meeting with their NEC that would have led them not being here. I think they are better placed to really explain what would have been their reasons of not joining this, because we had agreed that the issues that COSATU is raising are issues that they are also in agreement with, because they are affecting workers irrespective of the logo on your T-shirt of a federation that are affiliated to. The employer does not care, So we had agreed that those are the issues that are affecting us. But what would have been the reasons for them necessarily not being able to come here? It is left for them to really explain.
The COSATU president just giving us a bit of a background in terms of also just some of the decisions that COSATU took to not be a part of this particular march. You will know that there are also other affiliates of COSATU, and Nehau is also here, Pop Crew, and some of the COSATU members are also here, also pledging solidarity and saying no to the issues that are being brought forward and will be discussed and are demanding from government to take action on. But this march is also not happening only in the Western Cape, Gauteng province, or here in the Eastern Cape, but a lot is also happening in Durban, and my colleague Nobuhle will take us through the proceedings in Durban currently.
Things are currently underway. This was supposed to start at 10 a.m. We are still at Newzroom Afrika, headed to the Durban City Hall. But as I mentioned, it was supposed to start at 10. It's almost 11:30, and the workers are finally walking towards the Durban City Hall. I did speak to Edwin Mkiza earlier, who is the provincial secretary for COSATU in the province, and he was saying the issues that affect workers in the province mainly have to do with a lot of the energy crisis that we're seeing taking place in the country with regards to Eskom, also speaking on matters of corruption, and also that raise in that social relief of distress grant that he mentioned as well. But as you can see, things are getting underway here. We are moving. We are headed to the Durban City Hall. This was supposed to start at 10 a.m., but it's almost 11:30, and only now things have started to move. Edwin Mkiza had also said earlier that they're quite happy with the turnout here in KwaZulu-Natal, and he feels that this leg of the protest will have an impact on the entire COSATU nationwide strike that is taking place here today. But for now, let's take you to an ad break. More news after the break.